I've never made a green bean casserole before, but I'm pretty sure this one's going to be awesome. This one is totally whole plant food ingredients, SOS free, no added salt, oil, or sugar. It's pretty much just my famous mushroom gravy with green beans. We'll get into the details. Let's do it right now. Hey everybody, this is Dylan. I've been wanting to simplify my contribution to the Thanksgiving dinner this year. In the past I've made like 5 different things and it's too much work. I just want to make this one thing, assuming it comes out as delicious as I think that it will, and that's it. I'm just going to fill up on that and that's Thanksgiving. I think it'll be great. Okay, so I've stolen some parts of various recipes on the internet, sue me, but the traditional green bean casserole's obviously got the fried onions on top. We're not frying, I don't cook with oil, I haven't cooked with oil for years, so we're gonna have to do some kind of concoction in the oven to make some crispy onions that are gonna go on top. So I've got one onion that I'm gonna slice up and pretty thin. Let's start with that. So I'm gonna use this knife is a little bit sharper right now. So just slice them as thin as you can. It's not that big of a deal, don't get all in your head about it. Just slice the onion and that's that. Okay, looking good. Let's throw all this into a bowl. Boom. Now I'm just gonna grind some black pepper over all of this. And then I've got like a tablespoon of ground flax seeds. I'm gonna sprinkle that on it and we're gonna stir this up. Just toss all this together. Oh yeah, looks good. And then I've got a baking sheet with some parchment paper on there and we're just gonna dump them on. Just spread them out real nice. And we're throwing them into the oven, 350 for like 15 minutes. Just don't let them burn. Just keep your eye on them and we'll do it like that. Okay, the other thing you can do while we're messing around, grab a half a cup of plain raw cashews and soak them in some regular old water, okay? And set them aside. The next thing we're gonna do is prep our green beans. I've got like 1.5 pounds of green beans. These are just regular old plain green beans that have not been cooked or anything like that. We need to cut them and prepare them for the way we're gonna use them in our casserole. We're gonna cut the tips off like this. You can do a few at a time. And we wanna get them into bite-sized pieces. So what would that be, like half? I think half is good. These are, for me, that's bite size. If you want to do third, whatever. And then throw them into this other bowl and we'll have them ready. We're going to steam them in a minute. So you can take like 3 green beans and cut the tips off like this and then cut them in half and you're ready to go. Okay, there they are. If those look a little long to you, then just make yours smaller. It's whatever is bite size for you. These are going to work for me just fine. Okay. Now let's prep our gravy ingredients. So part of this gravy gets blended, so I'm going to do this in 2 steps. If you've seen me make this gravy before, we're making it just a little bit different, almost the same, but yeah. So take another onion and we're going to chop up half of the onion. You don't need to be very careful with this first half because it's just going to get sauteed and then blended anyway. So just take half of it, chop it up roughly, no big deal. Just like that. Boom, throw it in a bowl. Okay, now here I've got 1 pound of beautiful baby Bella mushrooms. I'm gonna take like a handful, like 5 or 6 of these, depending on how big, and we're gonna chop those up first, and those are gonna go with this part of the onion. Again, this is getting blended, so you do not need to be very careful with how you chop these. I usually just chop it in half and then slice it up, and boom, you're done. That way you have a nice flat surface for your chopping, so it's not rolling all over the place. Mushrooms into the bowl with that first half of an onion. Now I've got 3 stalks of celery. 1, 2, 3. Let's just take this branchy stuff off the top, cut this bottom stemmy part off, and away we go. Okay, once again, this is getting blended, so I'm just gonna cut the stalks in half, you know, whatever, and then we're just gonna dice it up a little bit. I can do them all together. Boom, boom, boom. And these are going in the same bowl. Okay, looks good. Those are going in the same bowl with the mushrooms and the onion. Now you need 3 carrots. I forgot to go shopping for carrots, so we're gonna use the baby carrots that I had in the fridge. Nice work, bro. Okay, so that is more or less 3 carrots. All right, so this is what we're dealing with today. Okay, so that's 3 carrots. Just chop them up. You do want to make the chop the carrots pretty small because we're going to saute, and you know carrots take longer to cook than the celery and the mushroom. So you do want to chop these up a little bit small so that they'll cook through during our saute. Okay, let's go. So I guess I'm just cutting it in half and then just slicing them up kind of. This is a little bit annoying. Use real carrots. Okay, looks good. That might be more than 3 carrots, but whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be that exact with this recipe. That's how I cook. You just kind of wing it. And if you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. All of my cooking is this simple. Just chop, cook, you'll see. We're still going. All right, cool. So that's our next bowl for the mushroom gravy part 1. I'm gonna keep chopping. So now let's prep for the rest of our gravy. I've got that other half of an onion. This time I'm going to dice it. This is the part of the gravy that I like to keep chunky. If you don't like chunky gravy, then you can blend everything if you want. But I'm gonna dice this rest of this onion up nice and small so that I've got some nice onion chunks in my, and you're gonna mess it up apparently, but I like to have some nice chunks of mushroom and onion in my chunky mushroom gravy. Okay, so that's kind of how that goes. Boom, good to go. Throw all that into another bowl, and then we're gonna chop up the rest of these mushrooms. As you can see, I've kept most of my mushrooms for the chunky part of the gravy. So what I'll do is chop the mushroom in half, then I'll slice it kind of lengthwise like this, and then I'll just chop through, slice it up, dice it up, whatever you want to call it. Okay, mushrooms in the bowl. So there's the half of an onion and most of the pound of mushrooms chopped up in this bowl. And then to summarize what we had in this bowl was a half of an onion, 3 carrots, 3 celery, and a few mushrooms out of the pound chopped up, and we're gonna saute that first. And then we have our green beans. So let's take it to the stove and get this going. Okay, and let's just show you up close what else is going in the gravy. This is like a good tablespoon of the minced garlic, which is, you know, at least a few cloves, whatever. A teaspoon of parsley, about a half teaspoon of sage, probably a teaspoon of rosemary, and a teaspoon of thyme. These are all dried and ground. I guess the parsley is not ground, but you get the picture. And then I'm also gonna be using a little bit of black pepper and some nooch. We'll just eyeball those ones. Let's take them over. Okay, I just dropped my green beans into the steamer pot, and we're gonna steam these covered for 10 minutes. Boom, that's simple. Okay, this pan is at temp, so just throw in our carrots, celery, onion, and mushroom mix that we chopped up, and let's get those sauteing. Beautiful. I'm just gonna grind in some black pepper, as much as you think looks right for you. That looks pretty good. These veggies are gonna sweat out some liquid, so you can just dry saute like I did, and as they start to dry out, you're just gonna add a little bit of water from your kettle. Boom, like that. Give it a stir. I never saute with any kind of oil. It's always a dry saute, adding water or veggie broth along the way. Usually just water for me. I like to use the kettle because it's already hot, so it's not going to slow down my cooking process here on the stove. Let it sit to saute for just a few minutes, and it started to dry out again, so I'm just adding a little bit of water again, and we're just going to keep doing that process over and over while this just continues to get nice and tender. We want the celery and the carrots to cook through real nice, so it'll probably take, you know, 3 little sessions of adding a little bit more water. I think we're going to be getting close on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and add my parsley. There goes the parsley. The sage going in. Here's the rosemary, ground up dry rosemary, looking nice. And the thyme. And then I've got that garlic. And give that a stir, and you might need to add some water. Give it a little splash. Go ahead and add a little bit of water. And keep this going for a couple more minutes. It smells like Thanksgiving. I'll just let this evaporate a little bit more, and we're gonna be ready to go on that. In the meantime, these beans have been steaming for 10 minutes. I'm just gonna take them off the steamer and set them aside uncovered. One thing I just wanted to add that I always love to add to my gravy is just a little bit of nooch. Maybe a tablespoon, a couple tablespoons, whatever you like. I just like to add that little bit of nooch because it gives it a nice little flavor, a little tang at the end. Okay, let's get out of here. So all we're gonna do is dump this into the blender. Okay, and along with that, I've got this half a cup of cashews that I had set aside. This is gonna make for a nice creamy gravy. So adding the cashews to this will make it a little more like a green bean casserole, a little more creaminess. I don't normally add cashews to my mushroom gravy. That was really the main difference here. So I might need to add a little bit of water. We'll see how this comes out. Let's give it a go. Yeah, it's pretty thick, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. Just add a couple tablespoons at a time, maybe a quarter cup. Okay, in the end I added like a half a cup to a cup of water, just enough to get it to blend up really nice, or veggie stock by the way you could add. Okay, let's go back to the stove and saute the rest of those veggies. I didn't even bother cleaning out the pan. Let's just throw in all the mushrooms and the half of an onion that we were gonna leave chunky in our gravy, and let's get those sauteing now. Add a little water to get it going. Oh, this smells amazing. I love the smell of sauteing mushrooms. All right, those mushrooms sweated out a lot of water and then we've just let it evaporate and that's looking really nice. So now I'm going straight to adding this gravy. Oh yeah, what we just blended up, I've poured in with the mushrooms and onions. Get it all out of there. So you don't need much heat now. We're gonna be putting it in the oven. So it's just about kind of mixing this around and getting the consistency that you like. I'm gonna say this should be a little wetter maybe. So I'm gonna add a little water. Okay, so just pour it in here. Looks nice. And to that, I'm gonna add our steamed green beans. All those in there. And then I'm just gonna take my spatula and stir this up and see how my proportion is looking. I think it looks pretty good. It looks like it might be a lot of gravy, but you know, whatever. We're gonna figure it out, okay? Okay, so just take a standard Pyrex baking dish, whatever you wanna call it, and let's just pour this in there like that. Oh yeah. And then let's just spread this around the dish. Okay, is that what it looks like normally? I have no idea. This looks pretty awesome, but I don't know if this is what a normal green bean casserole looks like, but whatever. It's gonna be delicious, so who cares? So here are those onions that I baked. I could have gone a little bit longer. I didn't want to go too long because we're gonna be cooking this again, but I could have browned them a little bit more maybe. I don't know, we'll see. So just take them and start spreading them around the top of your casserole. Simple, simple. Just like that. So if you don't want to do onions and you don't want to mess around with that, you can also toast some of your favorite whole wheat bread, Ezekiel bread, and then grind it up in the blender and make breadcrumbs yourself and then sprinkle the breadcrumbs over. I've also got some sliced almonds right here and I'm just going to, not too many, but I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top of this baby and give it a little bit of that. Oh yeah, nice. So that was like a couple of tablespoons or something, you know, of sliced almonds, whatever. Okay, that is the casserole, y'all. What do you think? We're gonna throw it in the oven uncovered for like 15 or 20 minutes. I've still got it on 350, so we'll just go with that. Okay, here we go. That is looking nice. All right, let's see what we got. It is pretty saucy, I am not gonna lie. Oh, that's hot. So good. One revision to my Thanksgiving plan. I am definitely making this, but I'm also gonna take mashed potatoes because this would be awesome with mashed potatoes plopped down and then this casserole right on top. And a nice thing about this dish is you can prep this like a day in advance. You don't need to make this the day of. You can prep it, cover it, put it in the fridge, and all you gotta do is pop it in the oven on Thanksgiving and you're ready to go. If you're interested in joining me for a live cooking show, I'm doing a rare free episode this weekend. We'll be live for like 60 to 90 minutes. I'm gonna make 3 dessert recipes so that you can so you're all prepared for Thanksgiving and the rest of the holiday season. The chat box will be going so I can answer all your questions along the way. So click the link down below to check that out. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you on the live show this weekend. Bye.